Y'all, today we have Mark Schofield from now SB Nation, new outfit over there. He is a Patriots fan, so of course we'll let him go with that. They got a lot of jewelry up there in Boston, so a rough season here or there is necessary. Mark, how's it going?
Matt. It's going well, Matt. It's great to be back with you. Yeah, it's a different vibe this year with the Patriots. It looks like Bailey Zappi is going to get his first NFL start this weekend against the Detroit Lions. Mac Jones still dealing with a high ankle sprain. So, it's a bit of a different vibe from, the Brady years. But look, I'm excited to be back. We were just talking before we hit record. It's October. We got baseball playoffs right now. We got football and college football in full swing. We're getting basketball. We're getting hockey back. So this is like October is perhaps the best sports month of the calendar.
It is. Yeah, and our teams actually, they start off the NBA season against each other, the Sixers and the Celtics. So that's gonna be interesting. I mean, classic basketball rivalry there.
There you go. It's gonna be a little bit different with Blake Griffin wearing the 91 this year, though.
It's just weird. I didn't even know about that till you brought that up with me.
Yeah, it's when you see it for the first time, Matt, you're gonna be like, I don't like how this looks. It's just too strange, man.
What if Blake Griffin gets like some nose piercings and goes like pink hair?
I mean, if he fully leads into it, then I might get on board with it. Like if he shows up and he's like fully tatted, he's got pink hair, he's got like 6 piercings, like I could get on board with that. But if it's still kind of like the somewhat clean cut, like Blake Griffin, like wearing 91 as a tribute to Rodman, it doesn't fit right.
No, it really doesn't. Something getting into NFL that's not seeming like it fit right. I mean, last Thursday's NFL primetime game, the Thursday night football game with the Broncos versus the Colts, might have been the worst game of football I've watched outside of watching high school football games where they don't even throw the ball. They play the wing tee. Outside of that kind of football, that is some horrible NFL football, and led by Russell Wilson, Mr. He's becoming Mr. Limited.
Yeah, he's Mr. Limited now.
What are your thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, I'm trending in the direction of this is a problem. I'm trending in the direction of this is a problem because, and for years, Russell Wilson was the kind of quarterback that thrived outside of structure. Like there was never a Seattle Seahawks offense. Other people have called it the Russell Wilson offense. People like Seth Galina, Nate Tice, Benjamin Solak, and others have kind of said that, look, it's just kind of letting him create. And when there are concepts that are called to attack the middle of the field, for example, he doesn't throw. He doesn't see them. You sometimes wonder. And it seems like he had, while he was in Seattle, the athleticism to still be able to excel when he's trying to create. It seems like right now he's still that kind of quarterback, but maybe the athleticism he once had isn't quite there. So when he tries to create, it doesn't happen the way it used to in the past. And so now, if he's forced to become more of a, say, pocket passer, trying to attack the middle of the field, it's wildly inconsistent. And I mean, there's probably no better way to sort of sum up where he is right now than the way that game ended last night, because they dialed up basically the same play we saw at the end of Super Bowl 39, where it's a pick rub concept where you're trying to hit that slant route and he doesn't throw it. And it was apparently, according to Nathaniel Hackett, Russ's call. Like that's what he wanted. And what makes it even worse than that, as Darren Orlovsky and others highlighted, and you can watch it on the film, they've got zone beater concept to the left side with the dig route that he eventually throws, and that shield slant to the right side. It's really a slot fade that the inside receiver runs.
That Hamler ran the route that Hamler ran on that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the inside guy runs a vertical, a slot fade, and he bends it to the outside to create the rub for Hamler coming underneath. Yep. And it's supposed to go to Hamler, particularly if it's man coverage, because a lot of plays they have the zone beater and the man beater. You don't even have to know which coverage it is. Just if it's man, you go one way. If it's zone, you go the other. It's clearly man coverage, and he looks to the zone side, and he doesn't see Hamler. And Hamler spikes his helmet in frustration because he's wide open. Hamler was wide open
the whole play, even if he saw him late.
even if you saw him late. And that wasn't the only time, Matt. There were other times on Thursday night where he's open over the middle and Wilson is not seeing him. So it seems to me like he's not seeing the field fully and he doesn't have the athleticism he once did to be able to get outside and get where he's comfortable and create outside the pocket. You put those pieces together, it's a struggle for this offense right now. And I don't see it improving anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited for him. I thought, this was kind of a Peyton Manning-ish kind of thing where he's going to go there and get cool with John Elway and things are going to happen. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was set up. They had a solid defense. They have pass catchers. You got Hamler. You got Jerry Jeudy. The running back last night, number 26. I legitimately forgive me I'm even forgetting the name now because I wasn't even aware who he was. He was really hitting those inside zone runs.
Mike Boone. Yeah.
Boone. Yeah. I mean, he was. Russell's holding them back, and that's so weird to say because he's fringe Hall of Fame already.
Yeah, and you don't know how it improves quickly. I don't know if they can get it fixed quickly. Now, Nathaniel Hackett might be one and done. That might be part of it because then you look at his contract. They're basically tied to him until like 2027, 2028, where they finally get an O. That's tough to live with. I mean, that's a lot of dead cap money. I mean,
it's not. I don't think Coach is not capped though. I think that's
uncapped. But Wilson is.
Oh, Wilson. Oh yeah, they are. That's capped. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm because let's see. So they've got a potential out after the 2025 season, which would still be 31.2 million in dead cap money.
I just feel like if you know that you've got to make a decision as an NFL franchise at this point, you just have to eat that cap. Like the Eagles, I'm sure are thrilled that they just ate the cap on Carson Wentz because that was a good reason for them to think, okay, we've got to just ride this out because I don't want to eat that dead cap.
Some of these cap numbers with Wilson are absurd. Say they move on, like after next, it's like 107 million in dead cap. And then it's 85 million in 24, 49 million in 25, and 26, it gets down to 31 million. But that is a huge number.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't do anything. No, that number that's too much.
That's like crippling. Like when it gets down to 31, but that's not until 26.
But because I think the cap is going up to 232. It's at 208 now.
Yeah.
It's going to 232. You said 106 or something like that.
It's 124 this year, 107 next year, 85. I mean, maybe if the cap gets to like 250 or so by the 25 season, then you can just take the 50 there and that goes to Russell Wilson's dead cap.
They paid, he has to be Patrick Mahomes. He's got to carry that team with the way that this.
And it doesn't look like he can do it right now.
So they are the Broncos are now 1-4.
I think 2-3.
2-3 because they were 2-2. That's right.
Yeah.
Last night
they're 2-3. I mean, but it doesn't look like the Chiefs are going to slow down. I mean, they had that weird wonky loss to the Colts of all teams, but yeah, 2-3, and it's a paper thin 2-3 if you ask me.
And I mean, all the talk before the season about how that AFC West was going to be the murderer's row for people just on their schedules, and I think the only team that's legitimately good is them.
I said it everywhere. I'm pretty sure the first time I was on with you, I said it. Like the AFC West is loaded. All those teams are going to be good, and then here we are, and it's like, man, maybe only the Chiefs are good.
Yeah, so you think that is what's going to hold for the entirety of the season, or do you think somebody surges?
I mean, the Chargers are just so banged up. I mean, Justin Herbert is incredibly talented, but you're down your left tackle, you're dinged up in defense. Like it just seems like we're seeing it again and again with the Chargers are charging, and the Chiefs just look like they're still very good. So I think this does sort of hold. I mean, maybe the Chargers make it interesting, But sitting here right now, sort of mid October, I don't see the Chargers overtaking the Chiefs.
And I think that they're holding their cards close to their vest with Pacheco. I think as the
Yeah.
season goes on, that guy is going to be a major factor.
Him and Sky Moore too. They're kind of rolling those guys out a little slowly. I'd expect those guys to get more action as we get into late October and November.
Shout out to Andy Reid, who continues generation after generation to put it together.
Yeah. So good.
He's so good. Carson Wentz, the talk in where I live sounded like they want to bench him. You think that he could survive another L, or does he have to beat the Bears this week?
I think he needs a win. And Matt, there's a couple of, you can just watch him and he's sort of pressing, he's making mistakes. Time to throw 2.81 seconds right now, which is, I think, only 9 quarterbacks are slower right now. So he's holding on to the ball. We saw the 9 sacks against the Eagles a couple of weeks ago, where on at least a couple of those plays, he's going to get the ball out faster. He's trying to make things happen. But look, Ben Baldwin, who works for The Athletic, he does sort of his quarterback efficiency thing. You can go to his website, RBSDM, running backs don't matter. That's the acronym. But he does expected points added versus completion percentage over expectation. And it's got it all graphed out each week. You just press a couple buttons and it pops it up. He's down in that bottom left quadrant, which is below average expected points added per drop back, below average completion percentage over expectation. He's in a cluster, Matt, along with Joe Flacco, Mitchell Trubisky, Davis Mills, and Matt Ryan. Those are the guys that are putting up similar numbers. That's not a place you want to be right now as a quarterback in the year of our Lord 2022. That's not good company. Making matters worse, adjusted net yards per attempt, 4.53. That puts him 28th in the league, Matt, among qualified passers. Only Mitchell Trubisky, I can't remember, Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields, and Joe Flacco are lower right now. That's not a place you want to be. And so the film is showing us that he's pressing, that he's struggling, that he's missing throws, that he's holding on to the ball too long. The numbers are what they are by almost any sort of efficiency metric for the quarterback position. You can tell he's struggling. So the other thing to consider is Ron Rivera is also facing some heat. And what do we sometimes see coaches do when they're in the hot seat and the offense is struggling? I got to make a switch. It's not me. It's this guy. Now, does Washington have an answer behind Carson Wentz? I don't think so. The most popular person in any town right now, or not just Washington, but any town where the offense is struggling, where the quarterback is struggling, is the backup quarterback. Is Taylor Heineke the answer? Is Sam Howell the answer? I don't think so. But Howell at least showed during training camp he can make some throws, and I know there's some excitement about him down here. So if they lose to the Bears on Thursday night, I don't know if he gets another start. Rivera might feel like I've got to make a switch. And let's not forget, we thought this Colts-Broncos game was bad on Thursday night.
Oh, my God.
You think that was bad, kids? Buckle up. Because you get Commanders-Bears on Thursday night. And I will tell you, a little teaser, we're working on something, the SB Nation staff, a piece we're going to drop sometime midweek of everything else you can do other than watching Thursday night football. Because you don't have to do it. We all get into our routines. It's Thursday night. We grab the remote, grab our favorite beverage. We sit down on our comfy chair or our couch. And we turn on the game and we scroll Twitter and we make fun of the bad football. You don't have to do it. It's going to be it might be a nice night. Go out, take your family, your friends, your loved ones out to dinner. Maybe go meet some friends for drinks. Go hit happy hour. Read a book. Catch up on Netflix. There's going to be other things you can do. Unless you're getting paid to watch this game, you don't need to watch it. Unless you have a family member playing in this game, you don't need to watch Bears Commanders next Thursday night.
Oof. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth, and that's the SB Nation guy that writes for the NFL is saying, I get paid.
I get paid, and I'm probably not going to watch it either. So,
there are no real storylines other than two teams who will be drafting in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah, unless you really want to see these two quarterbacks try and figure it out on a Thursday night on a national stage, because Justin Fields, as much as I loved him coming out, like he's struggling right now. And he's got some issues he has to figure out. Trusting his receivers, trusting his offensive, trusting himself, man. So unless you want to see if one of these quarterbacks sort of battle through that, unless you want that sort of hero storyline, not a lot of reasons to tune into this one.
So what's the latest with Tua? You cover this stuff a lot closer
Yeah.
than I'm able to.
So he's out this week. Mike McDaniel came out early this week and said, look, he's still in concussion protocol. He's out. He seems like it's going to be an indefinite thing. The investigation that the NFLPA requested into how that was handled, because we all saw it against the Bills, where he gets hit, lands on the back of his head, lands on the back of his helmet, and he immediately gets up at the end of that Bills game and he's adjusting his helmet. He's reaching for his head a couple of times and then he staggers. And they said after the game that it was a back injury. He's not reaching for his back, he's reaching for his helmet. That, coupled with what we then saw that Thursday night, coupled with what we saw this Thursday night with Naeem Hines, the NFLPA and the NFL have apparently reached an agreement on sort of changing the concussion protocols already, like mid-season. They haven't formalized that agreement yet, but it does seem like any sort of involuntary movement, stagger, stumble, it's an automatic no-go. Like there used to be sort of a subjective, like, was this caused by a brain injury or a concussion or a hit to the head, or was it not? Doctors could have some wiggle room in terms of diagnosing it and try to figure that out. Now it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like black letter law at this point.
Yep.
Like if you stagger, you're out. Like,
Yep.
So, I mean,
Mahomes had a play like that a couple years ago.
Yeah. And, T. Higgins had one. And, Dolphins fans have pointed out, like, since the Tua stuff, and since the Tua thing has been, like, the big flashpoint, Dolphins fans have pointed out, like, hey, what about T. Higgins here? What about Joe Burrow here? Like, other players have had those sort of wobbly moments. I mean, the thing is, head injuries, and the more we learn about them, the more we sort of understand the sort of locker room culture, right?
Yep.
When I was growing up, it's like you get your bell run, you shake it off, you get
That's
back
right.
out there because you don't want to lose your job.
That's right.
And, some players have talked about it. Rich Ornberger, who was a lineman in the league for a while, spent some time in New England, said, when I had my concussions, like I wanted to play. I wanted to like sort of skirt the tests and things like that.
Yep.
And the team stepped in and basically said, no, we're going to
Yep.
shut you down. Because as he put it, we have to sometimes protect these players from themselves because their instinct and everything they've been taught and told is that I'm going to get back on the field. And so,
That's right.
Because what we're learning, the league is have to sort of like step in a little bit more and say, no. Like we've got to shut guys down if we have to protect them from putting themselves at further risk of further injury.
Yeah. So how many games do you think Tua is going to be out?
I certainly don't imagine he's going to be back, obviously, because he's already out this week. I would imagine he's probably out the week after that. I'm pulling their schedule up right now. I'm trying to see when they've got a pretty late bye, it looks like. So it's not like a situation where they can ride it out to their bye week. I mean, since he's out for the Jets week, the week after that, Vikings, maybe that Steelers game, October 23rd, is when we can see him back. That would be week 7. Because, they don't have a bye until mid-November. So it's not like a situation where they've got a bye coming up where they can, like, steal an extra week for him to recover. They're probably going to have to, get him onto the field before then. Maybe that game against the Steelers on the 23rd. I mean, maybe depending on how he is right now, I haven't heard, like, how he's doing. Since they ruled him out. Maybe he'll be back for the 16th, but I really think October 23rd is probably when I'd expect to see him.
So the Rams, defending Super Bowl champions, have not looked like a team that's, quickly rounding into form to repeat. Is that more Super Bowl hangover, or are you leaning towards something like in the Russell Wilson situation? Is this more the rule, or is this just a bad trend?
I think it's time to worry. Benjamin Solak for the Ringer had a great piece on the Rams that came up on Friday, basically talking about the talent drain. I mean, they've lost some key players, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. They only had Odell for the last half of the season, but he was kind of a piece of what their offense was with the sort of backside dig stuff, because so much of what we're seeing right now with the two deep safeties, trying to keep everything in front of you. You've got your front side concept you're trying to work and that backside dig route in front of those safeties. And Odell was a huge weapon for them on that backside dig route. He's gone. Robert Woods, who was obviously a big part of their passing game, but a huge part of their run game because they would use him as an insert blocker on some of their outside zone, wide zone concepts. He's in Tennessee. You Brendan Allen Robinson, who's been MIA, like he's done next to
I
nothing.
wanted to say okay, but I can't go to okay yet. That's just not
No, like he
correct.
hasn't even been okay, right? You're
No.
exactly right, Matt. Like he's been a non-factor for them. And then you look at up front, right? ESPN's pass block win rate as a team, run block win rate as a team. They're like 19th in pass block win rate, 20th in the league in run block win rate. There's a lot of things that are going on that aren't going well right now. And remember, just a few minutes ago, I talked about adjusted net yards per attempt when we were talking about Carson Wentz, and where Wentz was, 28th in the league right now, and he was only ahead of 4 guys. Well, one of the guys he's actually ahead of is Matthew Stafford.
Ooh.
Adjusted net yards per attempt right now. Wentz is at 4.53. Trubisky's at 4.48. Daniel Jones, 4.34. Matthew Stafford, 4.29. And then Justin Fields at 3.01. And the guys at the top, the 2 guys at the top, Tua at 8.32 and Jalen Hurts at 8.11. It's like those 2 extremes are 2 different sports right now.
That's
Yep.
That's just a mind-bending kind of stat that with Sean McVay's offense has been so dynamic ever since he stepped foot into being that coach, and to have them playing that bad. I guess they got the Super Bowl, so they would take it, but they might as well have Jared Goff back.
Yeah, and I mentioned Ben Baldwin earlier. He also does this graphic that shows you how really by some of these metrics, by some of these efficiency stats, Goff and Stafford are still pretty similar. So, but yeah, I mean, they took the swing on the trades and everything they needed to do to get themselves that ring, but they had to because of the position they put themselves in. I don't think they have a first round draft pick until 2075 or something crazy like that. They had to like get every free agency acquisition right. And when one of them is Allen Robinson, and as we talked about, like he hasn't even been okay yet, it's going to make it tough.
And I will note, on the honorable mention honorable mention for the Rams, I would say that the loss of Von Miller is hurting a lot more than they thought it would.
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner is great, but Bobby Wagner and Von Miller, it's not a replacement.
They're 2 different players. I mean, they're 2 different players. Like Wagner is a fantastic linebacker, a fantastic off-ball linebacker, still very good against the run. I still think he's pretty good for somebody, particularly at this stage in his career, in underneath zone coverage.
Yep.
He's not somebody I'm like going to say, hey, there's a really dynamic running back. Like you're going to cover him in man. You're going to carry him vertically and things like that. You're going to match him on vertical stuff. That's not his game right now. Von Miller's a pass rusher. They're 2 different players. And while Wagner was a nice acquisition, and I liked it when they made the move, you're not using him to replace Von Miller.
No. And they're not. And Leonard Floyd's not making the plays.
Yeah.
Donald is dominating as usual, but
I mean, it's to the point when Leonard Floyd doesn't have Von Miller across the other side, you can sort of slide protection, give him some help. Your tackle up against Floyd, you get tight end to chip and release, a back to chip and release. You make sure you get a double team on Donald on the interior. You're probably going to be pretty good most often.
So they're building this game up, obviously, these overseas games, and I think in the UK they get really excited about it. It's the Sunday morning game. The Giants, the 3-1 Giants, play the 3-1 Packers.
Yep.
How much of a chance are you giving the Giants to keep this competitive?
I mean, I think they could keep it competitive, but Daniel Jones has an ankle injury. He's going to go. Like he's off the injury report, but he went back into the game last week against the Bears and couldn't really move. Tyrod Taylor is out. Wan'Dale Robinson is out. Kadarius Toney is out. Azeez Ojulari is out. Kenny Galladay is out. Nick Yates, their starting center, he just came back off pup, but I don't think he'll be ready to go. They're really banged up right now. And yeah, the Packers had a surprisingly tough game against Bailey Zappi and the New England Patriots, but that offense seems to be figuring things out. Rodgers seems to be getting on the same page with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, the two rookie wide receivers. The defense is very talented. Interesting matchup is going to be Rashawn Gary against Andrew Thomas. Thomas has been playing well, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them use Gary more against Evan Neal, the rookie tackle who's had a bit of an up and down start to his career. Saquon Barkley is back. He's healthy. That's great to see. He's been dynamic. He's been explosive. That's awesome. I love to see that. I think the Giants can keep it close, but I really don't know if they have a shot to win this one outright.
The point spread is 8, or I think I saw 8.5 today. You don't think it's that wide?
Yeah, I mean, I might take the points in that situation just because London games, strange things happen. But it's probably going to be like a 24-20 kind of game in my mind that Green Bay wins.
Okay.
But I don't. It's not a situation where I would pick the Giants straight up.
No, I'm not picking the very fraudulent 3-1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at the teams that they've beaten, right? Like they beat the Bears. I don't think anybody's looking at the Bears as like, oh my God, that's a good football team. No, they're not. They beat Tennessee in the first week of the season, and Tennessee's I'm not too much of a big of a Tennessee buyer right now. No. And then the Carolina Panthers. Like that's a team that's probably going to fire their coach by probably before Halloween. So it's a pretty thin resume, that 3-1.
While we're talking spreads, since I brought it up, let's go through some other game spreads. Steelers are 14-point underdogs at the Bills. What do you think about those points?
I'll probably take the points in that one just because both teams are. I know the Bills are missing a lot of guys this week. And Kenny Pickett making his first start, but 14's a big number in the NFL, especially for a team that's going to be down a lot of players. So I'll take the points there.
You think that what do you think as far as a point prediction, score prediction for that one? What do you think it's more like instead of the 14?
Maybe like a 27-17 kind of situation.
Okay.
Like a 10-point win, 2-score game, but I don't think it's going to be like more than 2 touchdowns.
What about the Chargers are 2.5-point favorites at the Browns?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because the Chargers I just don't trust right now because they're banged up. I might take the Browns in this one kind of outright, but I certainly think the 2.5 because they're at home. They got a good run game. They can grind this game down. I like the Browns in that one.
For their sake, I think that they need it. Obviously, with the suspension to their quarterback, their chosen franchise quarterback, it puts them in a position where they're probably not really thinking about Super Bowl this year. But the way that they lost that Jets game, I think they need to beat a good team to kind of get that monkey off their backs. I mean, that's a heartbreaker. And those stick with you as an athlete.
Yeah, you gotta turn the page on that, right?
Yeah, at some point it has to happen. For their sake, I hope it happens. I'm not sure that it does. The Chargers also need a win as well.
Yeah.
So, Dolphins are your division friends there. Dolphins are 3.5-point favorites at the Jets.
Yeah. This one's really hard just because of the Tua factor. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is a very nice backup, very capable, but I'm going to take the Jets in this game. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but I think, you look at the Jets, the way they sort of found a way to beat the Steelers last week. They found a way to sort of win some games, like a game we just talked about, that Browns game. It seems like it's a team that's a young team, but they're starting to believe that they can win some games against a team with a backup quarterback. I'm going to take the Jets in this one.
I like it. I think that makes a lot of sense. Cowboys are 5.5-point underdogs at the Rams.
I,
I don't think Dak will be back this week. He could be back soon. But what about in this game? We just talked about the Rams quite a bit.
yeah, I like the Cowboys in this one. I like them to
Mm.
win this one outright. I'm definitely taking the 5.5. I thought it was really interesting. Mike McCarthy was asked about that number. It was like, I've never used the point spread as a motivational speech factor, but maybe I have my Saturday night speech written already. He was asked about it like Tuesday when the number came out. Because Dallas is playing well. And the thing about Dallas right now is that defense is very good.
Yes.
Micah Parsons, obviously, but Trayvon Diggs, after a summer and more even of is Trayvon Diggs good or not, he's shown, okay, you don't think I'm that good? Now watch me. Watch me now. He's been fantastic this year. I think the Rams are going to struggle. That offensive line, the offensive line woes we talked about earlier, now you got Micah Parsons to deal with. You've got obviously DeMarcus Lawrence, who's looking. Dorrance Armstrong looks very good up front. That's a very talented defensive front. It's a very talented defense, period. They're going to give Stafford and company some trouble. Cooper Rush, he's not a dynamic quarterback, but he's 4-0 as a starter. And so, yeah, I like Dallas in this one.
Gotta as much as everybody knows my favorite team, I gotta agree with you. I think that they're flat out a better team. I think that they're a better team than the Super Bowl champs.
Especially, look, 5.5 point dogs. I know they're on the road, but
no.
Yeah, that number didn't make sense to me.
No. And there's you do have to account for, he's a backup quarterback, but now he's getting more and more starts under his belt. He's getting more confident. The team's getting more confident about him. They're probably they're drawing up plays the way he likes it. Probably they've got more of a comfortability around all the checks and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. The Rams, unfortunately, the Rams are in trouble this week. I think
it looks that way.
Bengals are 3.5 point dogs at the Ravens. Very exciting game. I would love to go to that one, but I will be tied up doing a Army 10-mile race on Sunday. What do you think about that game?
M&T Bank on a Sunday night, like that's not going to be a fun environment for Joe Burrow. That's not going to be a fun environment for that Cincinnati Bengals offense. Lamar has been electric this season. And obviously, look, they're coming off that game against Buffalo where they made the decision to go for it, the aggressive decision. You wonder. I do want to see, Matt, like over the rest of the season, does Harbaugh stay as aggressive, or does he take the points here and there? Does he, sort of learn the lesson that Marcus Peters was trying to teach him on the sideline, saying, look, trust us. We can get a stop if you need us to. So I'm going to be curious to see that. But I think M&T Sunday night game, division rivalry, I really like the Baltimore Ravens in this one.
So the main event for many people who listen to my show is the Eagles 5-point favorites at the Cardinals. What do you think about that point spread? And do you think that the Eagles prevail outright?
I think it's the number. This number makes sense to me because I don't trust the Cardinals at all right now. I just don't. They're struggling to figure things out offensively. Yes, they had a good week last week, but that was against Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers. That offense is still very disjointed. You don't have DeAndre Hopkins, and it seems like in watching Cliff Kingsbury in this offense over the past couple of years, if teams are slowing down or shutting down Hopkins, or if he isn't available because of injury or suspension or whatever reason, he struggles to figure out a plan B without Hopkins in the lineup. And then you look the way the Eagles are running the ball out of shotgun is causing problems for other teams. There's a fascinating, I don't know if you caught this on NFL Live earlier this week with Marcus Spears and Dan Orlovsky. They were talking about the difference between what you see and what you can expect as a defense when the quarterback is under center versus when he's in the shotgun. And everything changes when a quarterback's in the shotgun because you just expect they're not going to run the ball. Teams don't have a good shotgun run game, so it's going to be a pass. You're sort of playing behind the 8 ball when quarterback's under center. Eagles have turned that on their heads. They can run the ball very effectively out of shotgun, and that makes it so much harder as a defensive coordinator to figure out, if you're Vance Joseph, how you're going to deal with that. And so that's a huge part of it. And then you look at this Eagles defense, which is talented at all levels of the field. They can still rely heavily on zone coverage, which is perfect against a quarterback like Kyler Murray. And so you put these pieces together, in my mind, the 5 makes sense to me. And I think the Eagles win. I think they cover. I think the Eagles are a team to be reckoned with right now. And I have no problem looking at the Eagles as the team that I'd pick in this game. And I'll give those 5 points in a flash.
Yeah, the only thing that I have is, and I think that we've got the Eagles have the right leadership to not allow this to happen. But this is they do have the hated Dallas Cowboys the next week, so you kind of have that trap game feel.
Trap game. Yeah.
So that's the only fear that I have. I think flat out they're the better team.
Absolutely.
I think the Cardinals have their own issues absent not playing a team of this caliber. Can they move the ball down the field?
I think it is a Call of Duty double XP weekend, and so Kyler Murray might be a little distracted. Yeah. We actually, James Dator, one of the writers at SB Nation, has a Call of Duty Kyler Murray tracker that he updates like every week. And we've seen the studies on Reddit and elsewhere where once they release new Call of Duty, you see the stats drop off a cliff. It is what it is. And the new Call of Duty, I think the beta's out already. So Kyler might be distracted. Yay. So there you go.
Well, that's all I needed to know. Listeners, this is no BS. Go look it up. There is research around what Mark is talking about here. When they release the new games, Kyler goes and plays, doesn't know his plays. Ooh, this is great.
Yeah. I mean, look, remember, they put the film study clause in the contract. They pulled it back out, but they put it in. There was a reason they put it in. It was probably because they knew the new Call of Duty is coming out in October. Like, we're going to get ahead of it.
It's ridiculous that we're seriously talking about this, but this is true. Mark, thank you so much for coming on again. Appreciate it. Tell the people where we can keep following along and showing you support when between the times when I have you on here.
Oh, well, Matt, thanks so much for having me. It's always a blast. Love chatting ball with you. At Mark Schofield on Twitter, SB Nation. All this stuff is over there now. They're doing something a little silly, Matt. They're letting me write about baseball and hockey and F1 in addition to football. And so, they let me spread my wings a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be a smart decision for them, but I'm having fun with it. But
more work for you
on Twitter, SB Nation. Matt, man, good luck in the Army 10 miler, man. Go crush it.
Thank you. We'll see. I hope I survive. I think I will.
Well, you're a brave man for trying. I don't know if I could do a 10-yarder at this point right now.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. I'll holler at you soon. I'll send you some updates.
Please do.
See you.